Do you know how slow our technology was developing during the last 10,000 years? And then suddenly, within that span of 10 years, it made a light years advance like never before. All the way up until the Second World War, technology was progressing at a slow pace, which is consistent with normal human development in every field of life. Investment caused by the military push during the First and Second World Wars, where countries did their best to have a dominance in the sky and all the fighting advantages it brings in winning any battle. By the end of the Second World War in 1945, the most advanced fighter planes had a maximum speed of 450 miles per hour and a maximum altitude of 40,000 feet. Now jump just 10 years ahead, with no wars and no special military push for extraordinary advances in aviation. Suddenly, in the late 1950s, we have the Valkyrie. The Valkyrie was a large, 6-jet engine delta-winged aircraft capable of flying Mach 3+ at an altitude of 70,000 feet, 21,000 meters. To achieve such a development in aviation, you had to achieve even greater development in metallurgy, building materials, engineering science and technologies, and so on. This huge leap cannot be natural considering the speed of development we had as humans till the war against Germany and Japan. But you all know how that war ended. It ended with the dropping of 2 nuclear bombs, which created such devastation as had never been seen before in human history. And that was the turning point that made our aliens, who are living among us, decide to make first contact and share some of their technology. If you watched any of the Star Trek movies or series, you know that contact with a new civilization is made only when they achieve a certain technological level. For humans was the nuclear bomb, and then Admiral Byrd's discovery beyond the Antarctic Circle, where he discovered huge and vast lands the size of America that are not covered with ice, and a great amount of natural resources like coal and different metals, minerals, etc., that he said could cover the world's consumption for decades to come. All this was recorded in an interview after the first expedition for a TV station, which you can still find on the internet today.
Our guest tonight found out whether there was any land north of the North American continent. He made that first discovery flight, and I must say that Admiral Byrd, our guest tonight, is not only our greatest living explorer, but he's been an inspiration to countless Americans. Admiral Byrd, you've been to both the North Pole and the South Pole. Is there any unexplored land left on this earth that might appeal to adventurous young Americans?
Yes, there is. And not up around the North Pole, because it's getting crowded up there now, because they find out it's really usable, not only to live in, but militarily. But strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
That's a tremendous
So
challenge.
there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Admiral, do you hope to see that?
I do.
Babylonian map tablets from the 6th century BC show the Earth as a plate surrounded by water. The Vikings believed that ships could fall off the edge of the world, and as late as the Middle Ages, some writers drew the sky as a solid dome. Interesting, isn't it? Was it simple ignorance? Or did they see something we no longer see? Were the maps of the time symbolic? Or did they really reflect physical reality? Think about it. Why does almost every ancient culture describe the sky as a solid dome? And why did many civilizations speak of the edges of the world?
We have to mention that Admiral Byrd commanded the 2 U.S. Navy expeditions to Antarctica. The second one was one of the largest expeditions in human history, with several Navy ships and planes and helicopters and a huge amount of personnel and equipment. This expedition was planned to last at least 3 months, but after less than 2 weeks, suddenly the order came to pack everything and head back to the United States, cutting the expedition short for no obvious reason. Just a year later, all world nations signed the Antarctic Treaty, which forbids any nation or military or corporation or individual person from going to Antarctica or exploring that continent, except for a few small spots on the shoreline controlled by the 5 biggest nations for so-called scientific research. If you try flying or sailing beyond the 60th parallel, you will be encountered by military planes and ships that will shoot you down or sink you or take you to prison, never to be seen again. The only way to go there is by acquiring the services of the only agency in Australia that will charge you more than $30,000 to take you to a shoreline, to take pictures with some penguins, and then bring you back. So it is almost impossible to go there unless you are under strict control, and if you are military personnel, you are bound, of course, by secrecy and confidentiality. As we mentioned in previous videos, the aliens, or jinn, live away from humans, and they were here thousands of years before us, and they have abilities and technologies that humans do not possess. They were almost destroyed entirely when God sent the angels to fight them because of the incredible amount of wars, killing, and bloodshed they brought to God's green earth. After that, they were cast away when God brought Adam and Eve and their descendants down to earth. Aliens or jinn lived outside the realm of humans and interacted with some of them in just a few special instances.
However, since we are coming closer to the Judgment Day and the appearance of the Antichrist, and humans have come to be able to make such destructive weapons as the atomic bomb, the aliens decided it was time to make themselves known to the main governments that rule the world at the present time. We believe that the first official contact was with Admiral Byrd in Antarctica, where they showed him some of their capabilities and probably made some demands and gave him some conditions to fulfill to get some of their technology. You have to put yourself in the shoes of such a patriot and an admiral in the biggest and most powerful military in the world when you are shown secrets that are not known to almost any human and given the opportunity to have technology advances over everybody else, which will give your country the upper hand always. That is why the expedition was cut short, and that is why only the top military intelligence officers who are career intelligence personnel have full access to this information. And that is why not even presidents are on the loop, because they are just elected people who will leave after 4 or 8 years of service. The first step governments did after the aliens or jinn had made their agreement with the most powerful governments was signing the Antarctic Treaty to keep everyone out of that territory. And the second biggest step was to form NASA. Why NASA? Because that is how you control the narrative of creating this whole story of us being just a tiny speck of dust in an infinite universe. And if any aliens are encountered, it is shown as delusions or a possible outer space being coming to visit, and never have any clear purpose of those visits, and to enforce the biggest lie ever told to humanity as a whole, which is that there is no God, and we are just a coincidence that happened by some explosion millions of years ago, and there is not a creator, nor a creation, nor a judgment day where we will all be held accountable for every little thing we do. If you believe that there is no God, then you can believe that there is no firmament or a solid sky above us, and that we, in fact, do not live in an enclosed world. The fact that there are 7 skies above us held by pillars that we do not see, as mentioned in the Quran, becomes fairy tales to the non-believer. Everything about angels, jinn, creation, and Judgment Day is just a myth or a story for stupid people who believe in fairy tales and Santa Claus, a conspiracy theorist with tinfoil hats. I hope you are all aware by now that when the mainstream attacks someone's character, it is always because they cannot debunk his claims. And by now you should know that every conspiracy theory today is tomorrow's news. If none of this is real and true, explain how we went in less than 10 years from propeller engines and 450 miles per hour to super jet engines and over 3 Mach speed, and in 20 years from science fiction communication devices like flip phones and Star Trek series to that same technology being obsolete and laughable today when we have phones in our pockets that do anything we ask, and we can talk live in video calls with people in Antarctica if we want, and artificial intelligence give us any information ever known to humanity in a second. What are the UFOs and UAPs our military pilots see every day in the sky? Why is Congress investigating these phenomena? And why do all conservative media icons firmly believe that these aliens are in fact demons mentioned in the Bible? Whenever you go back to the Quran and Sunnah, you see it clearly. It was all prophesized, and it is all a process being conducted as to prepare for the coming of the Antichrist and his rule over the earth, and the miracles he will perform while claiming to be God. And he will succeed until the moment God sends back Jesus Christ himself for the second coming to fight the Antichrist and kill him, and to rule the earth for 40 years. We will dedicate a special video for the Antichrist and his coming, as well as his demise at the hand of Jesus Christ. If you have found value in this video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to get notified when our next videos come out, and click on these videos to learn even more.